Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Sunday Summary. I am your host, Kyle, and I have some unfortunate news about the show, but the show will go on. Um, just to bring it to everyone's attention, Steven will no longer be with the Sunday Summary. Um, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Good Lord. He's just at a wedding. I'm kidding. That's a bad way to open it up. But I just wanted to do that. I figured I'd get someone to laugh or freak out or something. I don't know. But yeah, no, Steve's just out of town right now. So you're just stuck with me today. Good morning to Liz. My mother's in here. Inspector, Tony, Dustin, Dermot. What's going on, everyone? Make sure you slap that like button. Got a lot to talk about today. Liverpool got the dub yesterday against Burnley. Big bounce back win. And also Xabi Alonso, man. I got a feeling. I got a feeling that Xabi Alonso is going to be that guy. He's going to be that guy. But, you never know, given he's only it's his second year as a manager. But the transformation is just undoubtable, man. I mean, he has really turned Leverkusen around. They had that 3-0 victory against Bayern. People are talking about him as like the next Zidane in the sense that I don't want to say it's rare. You know what I mean? I don't want to say it's rare, but I feel like players becoming managers, it's like a 50-50 split. Very rare. Not very rarely, but it doesn't always work out. Like Steven Gerrard, he just didn't work out at Aston Villa. He did well at Rangers, right? He did well with, Liverpool under 18s. But Zidane just crushed it at Real Madrid. And now you have Xabi just really doing well at Leverkusen. My only concern with him coming to Liverpool would be the lack of experience, would be the fact that it's only his second year as being a manager. Right? Does he have the ability to go from the Bundesliga to the Premier League after just managing 2 years? If you look at it strictly from a performance and style of play, absolutely. I mean, the transformation is apparent. You look at how Leverkusen are playing. You look at the fact that they're unbeaten. I think they're unbeaten. Don't quote me on that. And you look at how the players are playing for the manager, that says a lot. Because it's very difficult to manage top level athletes. And to be able to do it in just 2 years and see this dramatic of a transformation says a lot about a manager. Oyvind says not even a 50-50. That's what okay, so I was just being optimistic. It's very rare that player managers come in and do anything then. I didn't want to be super pessimistic about it. You know what I mean? It just doesn't happen that often. Right? You got Zidane. That's like the latest one I can remember that is just a really good manager that used to be a player. I mean, what's his face is still working on it. Vincent Kompany, right? Did well at Anderlecht, and now he's at Burnley. Can't really say Burnley's doing too hot. Now, I don't know, maybe personnel-wise, but he's also in the toughest league in the world. But you would think that if Vincent Kompany was really transforming a team, you would look at a team like Burnley as being a mid-table team, even with what they have. That, for me, would be the cutoff for me saying, hey, Vincent Kompany is actually doing extremely well with Burnley. I mean, he's taken this team with nobodies and making them a mid-table side. But right now they're 19th, so I'm not looking at it that way. But when you look at Leverkusen, Guardiola, okay, that's another good example. So that's another good example. I think for me, the cutoff, I'm thinking about players who are like world-class players, like Jurgen Klopp. Most coaches played the game. Like, let's not kid ourselves. Most of them played the game. But Jurgen Klopp, he was just an average player. Nothing special. If you go watch his goal highlights, though, that's a good little clip for you. He's just an average player. One of the best managers of all time, though. Right? Pep Guardiola, good player. going to go down as one of the best of all time. Zidane, though, world-class player in the conversation for some of the best all time. And his managerial career, short-lived, but he was really good. Steven Gerrard, one of the GOATs. Probably the best Liverpool player ever. Really good with Rangers, you could say. Got him back to the top of the league. Had a nice run in the Europa League. Comes to the Premier League and just doesn't have it, man. And how high is the threshold for these guys? The only thing that has me worried is the sample size for Leverkusen and Xabi Alonso. It's his second season. I'm going to pull up the table. Oyvind, not our table, the Bundesliga table. Oyvind's always like, oh no, not the table. Wow, God, they're having a hell of a season, guys. They really are. Inspector says, would you like to have Zidane as our new manager next season? Not particularly, no. But that's just my opinion. If you're calling I'm going to be honest, if you're calling the Bundesliga a farmers league, that's just not a good take. That's a freezing cold take. It's not a farmers league. Bundesliga is one of the most competitive leagues in the world. All right. So this is just unreal, guys. 17 wins, 4 draws, no losses. And they played Bayern Munich yesterday and won 3-0. Manhandled them. I mean, we're looking at a team that's performing well above expectations. I mean, I haven't even looked at their lineup that recently. Let's take a look at their lineup. Okay. So they did secure Granit Xhaka. I do remember that. Florian Wirtz, everyone knows that name, right? Jeremy Frimpong, everyone knows him. Patrick Schick, I forgot they got him. Oh, I forgot they got Adley too. Okay, Jonas Hoffman, who had transferred over from Mönchengladbach. Jonathan Tah, solid defender. Ezequiel Palacios, a young, really good midfielder. Nathan Tella, I thought he played at Southampton, didn't he? And then they, of course, have Hincapie. Edmund Tapsova. They got some solid defenders. Kusonu, oh, there's another good defender. Nadiem Amiri. They have some really good young talent in this team. Noah Mbamba, Arthur, Timothy Fasu Mensah. I'm going to be honest. Their strength is in their defense and their midfield. I mean, decent attackers, but I honestly don't recognize any of their attackers except for Patrick Schick. And Adley. I forgot about him. But yeah, man, a very interesting lineup. And then if you go and you look at a team like Bayern Munich, right? Let's just do it for fun. Let's just see. Okay? Let's just go to Bayern Munich and see what we're dealing with players-wise. Okay? You got Harry Kane. You got Leroy Sané. Good Lord. Matthias de Ligt. Leon Goretzka. I don't even need to name these guys, okay? You can just look at the level of sheer talent that Bayern Munich has, okay? And a lot of these guys are up-and-comers. A lot of these guys are younger players. And to be dominated 3-0, I haven't watched the highlights. I didn't see anything about how they played or anything like that. But to lose 3-0 to Bayern Munich, to beat Bayern Munich 3-0, does that not say something? Right, and let's look at the flip side of it. Let's look at Arsenal, right? Let's look at Arsenal against us. People might be saying, oh, doesn't Arsenal beating Liverpool say something about Mikel Arteta and Arsenal being potentially in the running for the Premier League title? Maybe. Bye. Be safe. Casey's going out of town. Guys, I'm scared. If Xabi Alonso comes in, this is ultimately what it comes down to for me. What I'm scared of is Xabi Alonso only being a 2-year tenured manager if he comes to Liverpool at the end of this season. That's the only thing I'm scared about. That is the only thing I'm scared about. Tony says Xabi is good at putting all these players together. Oyvind says I'm not afraid anymore. Lyle, what's going on, man? Big time pressure on whoever comes after Klopp. Always easier to be the guy after the guy. We've got a great team, but that can get sideways quick. There is no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind that if Xabi Alonso comes, he will bring 2 or 3 players from Leverkusen to help with that transition. Most managers do. Most managers will bring over a player or 7, right, to help with the transition. Okay? It's just a comfortability. I always say that word. I don't know if it's a word. It's always a comfortability factor. I think it's just a comfort factor. Let's take a sip of the coffee. Big shout out to everyone in the chat. Thanks for your support. And of course, let me know your thoughts throughout the show there. I can't decide what I want, guys, because of the options available to us. You'd think you want the names that are thrown around, let's just say it. Jose Mourinho is being thrown around, right? The Brighton manager, the name slips my mind right now just because it's early in the morning. Xabi Alonso. When you put those names on paper, it is natural to lean towards a Jose Mourinho or lean towards Brighton's manager and not Xabi. Now, I'm not saying that's what I want. Just let me elaborate a little bit. It's natural to do that because there is a level of familiarity with those managers. You know Jose Mourinho is a very successful manager and will probably go down again as one of the top managers to ever do it. With between his time at Porto and Inter and even in the Premier League with Chelsea. Jose Mourinho is a good manager. Even at Roma now, he's doing really well. The comfort factor is there. But then you think about the direction that Liverpool is going. You're looking at a club now that's no longer living on their past successes. Right? Liverpool aren't banking on their heritage, their history to push them forward. They have a completely new infrastructure at the club. Okay? New stadium, new academy, completely new players. Everything is new about the club. So you look at that aspect and then you say, maybe we need a new type of manager, a young manager that just has, 1, played for the club, but 2, just gets the new style of play, right? Whatever that is. I'm just kind of saying that. Xabi Alonso, for me, is the only one that checks that box. Imagine if Xabi Alonso comes to Liverpool, being a Liverpool player, being a Liverpool legend, and being able to succeed Klopp, whatever, and do well. Do you know how big a shoes you have to fill? Is that too intimidating for him? Will Xabi Alonso even want to pursue that? Or will he want to stay at Leverkusen where he's having success? Right? He still has to imagine if he secured a Bundesliga title with Leverkusen in a second year. Holy God, that would be insane. That would be a good time to leave, going out on top. It has me stressing. It really does. But everything I'm reading right now is that Xabi Alonso is the favorite to replace Klopp. Even Jamie Redknapp came out and said that he thinks that he's going to be the guy. Let's head over to the chat. And Doug says, this is what we were talking about. Leverkusen dismantled Bayern Munich last night. It's just, you can't just, after a certain point, you can't say, oh, this is the honeymoon phase. Oh, this is just lucky. They have 17 wins, 4 draws, no losses. They just beat Bayern Munich 3-0. They have one of the most handsome managers in the world. I mean, when is it? And I'm thinking out loud for me, when does the point come where I'm like, okay, he's the guy? I think he's going to be the guy, but I'm still nervous about the only 2 years thing, because the last thing I want, and we talked about this with Steven Gerrard when we were all talking like, ooh, Steven Gerrard's going to be the next Liverpool manager. The thing that is scaring me is if he, a Liverpool legend, comes into Liverpool, tries to manage and does not do well, it damages his legacy. Not because we no longer like him, right? We'll always love Xabi Alonso, right? But you almost look at it as like, oh yeah, Xabi Alonso, amazing player, Champions League winner, but man, as a manager, he just didn't have it. Xabi Alonso is so young. Would he want to risk that? Coming to Liverpool and failing after just 2 years being a manager? These are questions you have to ask. Graham Souness, yep. Sir Oswald says Alonso will have a large war chest available to spend. Now, sir, what makes you say that? Just out of curiosity, because Klopp doesn't have a huge war chest to spend. This past summer, he spent a decent amount, right? And over the years, I mean, if we look at how much net spend, it's probably like 400 mil. But what makes you say that the new manager coming in will have a war chest to spend? We are in different times now. Liverpool's revenue is through the roof. Much more money than when Jurgen Klopp came in. Jurgen Klopp, he was buying Gini Wijnaldum and Sadio Mane and Marco Grujic, all of which were all pretty much under 35 million. God, I wonder what Sadio Mane would, if you were buying Sadio Mane today from Southampton, what he would be worth. It'd probably be 70 or 80 million minimum. Oh, that's so nuts to think about. Dustin says Gerrard will be Liverpool manager at some point. I support it. Oswald says it was announced a couple days back by one of the Liverpool reporters, which is why Klopp has not spent this January. He doesn't normally spend in January anyway. I mean, very rarely has he. We got Gakpo and Diaz in January, but I feel like that was weird that we got those guys in January. Queasy, what's up? Also, Queasy, I appreciate the super chat at the end of the stream yesterday. I had ended the stream before that. I appreciate it. And again, everyone who shows up to support the channel, really appreciate it. You guys have no idea how much the support means to the channel to keeping everything going. So thank you very much. Queasy brings up a good point. He says all the clubs get in trouble. I think clubs are scared to spend. Ooh, okay, that's an interesting point. That is an interesting point. Maybe there's some reluctancy to spend, but I think teams that know they're doing the right thing wouldn't be scared. Dude, is Man City ever going to get in trouble? Are they ever going to get in trouble, dude? It's just... Guys, I had a conversation about... full disclosure, let me just give you guys some self-disclosure real quick. Ever since I was like 2 years old, my mom's been cutting my hair, right? I obviously, went to a barber in college, but my mom cuts my hair. So every once in a while, I'll go over, get my hair cut, and we'll chat. we got to chatting about like big banks, specifically here in the United States and financial institutions, how they handle things, right? There's a lot of different loopholes they get away with that aren't illegal, but ethically, the line they cross is just weird. And Liz, shout out to Liz, adding it to the chair fund right now, Liz. Thank you. Shayna, what's going on? It has me in the same mindset with Man City, right? You got all these clubs getting in trouble. They're smaller clubs, right? I'm not saying Everton's not a big club, but Everton getting docked points, you can put it up to the fact that Everton just don't have any liquidity right now. They're building the new stadium. They're in financial fair play turmoil. And so they can't put up a fight, right? Because it's absolutely your right to put up a fight as an organization to defend yourself, regardless if you're guilty or not. That's your right. Okay. Man City have all the resources in the world to basically defend themselves and appeal, just keep appealing these financial fair play allegations and persecutions. Where's the line where you look at it and say, that is so unethical? How can that team keep getting away with that? Right now, this is all fairly new, right? Within like the last year, we've all known Man City have been sketchy for a while, but these allegations are all new. The fact is that I'm tying it all together because when I was talking to my parents about the banks and everything like that, they skate this ethical line. They skate an ethical line for what's profitable for them, but what affects their customer. And Man City, what's beneficial for them, but what affects all the little guys, the little teams that are really, they don't have a big fan base, but they're really trying to support themselves in the Premier League. The Luton Towns, the Burnleys, the Sheffield Uniteds, even though they have a big fan base. It's concerning, man. It's concerning. I just don't know when it's going to end for Man City. I don't know if they're ever going to get in trouble, and I would like them to. Not because I'm cynical, even though I am a little cynical, but mainly because I just like people being held accountable for wrongdoing. Right? When it comes to the law, at least. Like, and also we're competitive as fans. We don't want to see another team breaking the rules and having success at the expense of us. How many times have we lost the league by 1 point, by 1 inch? And they're out here breaking rules? It's not fair. Okay. Liz says 115 City support the small clubs they own. Hold on. Liz, I was confused by that. But I know what you're trying to say, but I'm a little confused. Hashash and me. What a name. I probably mispronounced it, but look at Empty-Head. There's still much spaces in seat every match. Yeah, some games they're sold out. Same thing with Arsenal. The Emirates, I've noticed Emirates has a lot of empty seats too. But back to what we were chatting about with Xabi Alonso, guys. Okay, Xabi Alonso, I just want to pull up like everything. I'll just pull up Xabi Alonso manager, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Or Xabi Alonso Liverpool. Let's do that. And again, if Steven was here, he'd talk about this. The shiny new toy. Everyone's like, everyone looks at the shiny new toy and they say, oh man, I want him, right? Xabi Alonso is the exciting prospect to become manager. Okay, but everything here says that he's looking at Liverpool. I mean, Sport Bible says Liverpool fans demand club appoint Xabi Alonso as viral video shows tactical. Again, they're talking about the tactics against Bayern Munich. I mean, Xabi Alonso passes his Liverpool audition with flying colors, like just headlines. But To be fair, he did come out and he's media trained. He said, "I'm happy at Leverkusen. I want to continue here. I'm only worried about them right now." I was thinking about this last night too. I just thought about it. I was like, if I was a player or a manager and I was being interviewed by the media and they asked me a question about another club, my natural response would actually be what the media trains these guys to do, which would be, well, there's no point. I don't know what the future holds right now, though. I'm under contract and I'm doing my best for this club. That is the natural response, in my opinion, right? Sometimes, though, I'm waiting for one of these guys, these managers, these players, if they're asked about Liverpool or Madrid or whatever, I want to see a genuine response where, like, I don't know, they ask like a young wonder kid, 19-year-old kid about going to the Premier League or something, or going to Madrid. You know what I mean? And the kid, they ask, they go, "Hey, what do you think about the Real Madrid links?" And he goes, "What? No way." Or something like that. I would love to see that. And oh man, that would just make my day. But you guys can see all this stuff. I'm not clicking on the Liverpool Echo because it completely slows down my stream. It destroys the stream quality. So Liverpool Echo, get it together. But let's read a little bit about Xabi Alonso, right? Spanish football coach and former professional player who is currently the head coach of Bundesliga club Bayer Leverkusen. Is regarded as one of the best midfielders of his generation. Alonso began his career at Real Sociedad. I don't care about any of that. He's 42 years old. Okay, he's only been managing football since 2022. Okay. That's the thing. That's the only thing, man. The tenure, man. Let's look at this right here. Alonso's the perfect fit. That's what everyone's saying. Okay, but who else is there? Roy Hodgson. What? How? That's who it is. Roberto De Zerbi. That's who I was thinking of. He's the only other one I could think of. But even then, that's really scary because you look at how Graham Potter fared at Chelsea. You might not want to touch that. You might not want to touch that just with recency bias. You do not want to mess with that just in case. Xabi Alonso is a completely different can of worms here. Oh, God. What is all this? Okay. This is a great article. I can already tell it's a great article. So look, for all the talk of pressing on the pitch, Liverpool need to prearrange Jurgen Klopp's replacement ASAP, ideally this month for various reasons. Interesting. This particular journalist is very keen on Xabi. And he said I wanted to further my case for Alonso as a replacement for Klopp, but also look at the records and playing styles of other names mentioned. 3 key players will be down to their final year in the summer, and 2 super gifted older pros may be worth keeping on reduced wages are free agents this summer. Now, I'm assuming he's referring to Salah and Van Dijk, and there's another player, I can't remember right now, who's on their last year. But Salah, I have a feeling Salah's going to leave. Don't you guys? I have a feeling Salah's going for 200 mil. But maybe not. I don't know. I don't want to get into that right now. But, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Okay. Trent's staying, no question. Virgil had that little scary piece where he kind of was like, who knows what the future holds? I don't know if I'm going to be part of the future plans. That goes back to what I was saying about giving an honest answer. He quickly backtracked that, though. I think Virgil retires at Liverpool. Okay? And he says here, Alexander-Arnold will surely sign a new deal. Alexander-Arnold's been working on a new deal for the past 3 months. We saw that report come out immediately, and they've probably just hit a stalemate. One thing I've learned from reading Bobby Firmino's book is that the club is in no rush to get deals done. They're very calm about it. Not in a bad way, like they're not dragging their feet, but they're very relaxed about it. They take the approach of when they say, "Hey, we want to give you a new deal," there's no rush. Let's just negotiate and get you the right deal. If we can't find it, we can't find it. And that's what happened with Bobby. Bobby was trying to negotiate a new deal for a long time and they couldn't. Okay. And this is what it says. Albeit Salah leaving for Saudi for silly money would help sign top replacements, right? But that seems less likely given the dullness and low quality of that league and the fact that everyone's getting loaned back. Salah might stay. But you look at our other attacking options, we honestly don't need any attackers. Jota, Gakpo, Diaz, Darwin. I mean, God, we have a good team. Also, oh God, this is a good article. I'm not going to sit here and read the whole thing, but you guys should definitely look into reading that article. I mean, I don't know. I kind of want to read it now. So a new director of football could not be sorted while Klopp was the eternal manager and George Smaka was installed as his man. While the summer had some very strange moments, we saw the benefit of the Klopp-Schmaka partnership in getting Alexis McAllister, Soboslai, Waturando, and Ryan Gravenberch from German football. Okay, you'd say that all this money was well spent, with Gravenberch probably needing another 6 months and a proper preseason to find his best form. Completely agree with that. The relationship between manager and director of football is vital, as is the relationship between director of football and the hierarchy. Were Pep Linders to have been considered to replace Klopp, he would have represented continuity, which is what we all kind of thought that he was being groomed for it, but also virtually no managerial experience. Bingo! And from what I heard over the years, seems to have burnt some bridges behind the scenes. Damn it! Who is this guy? I like this guy. I feel like everything he tells me is the truth, and he's a good writer too. As I've said before, that going back to 1920, I felt like it was being groomed for the... Did I not just say that? God, I should be a freaking journalist. But that was before there were issues between the football side of things and the transfer side of things. I also think that if Linders was in line for the job, it wouldn't have been announced that he was leaving at the end of the season. After all, if Klopp was handing it over to him, that is something that could have waited to the summer as the continuity would be in place. And this is what ultimately I get into here. And Klopp did the right thing to give the club time. And once it was announced, it made sense to be clear about who was following him. And this kind of goes into Pep Linders still being considered. The more I think about it, the more I just don't believe Pep Linders is even remotely considered for the job. I just don't. Not that I don't love him. Everyone loves Pep Linders, but the more I think about it, the more I just don't think he's going to be there. As such, Mike Gordon, Billy Hogan, Will Spearman are the continuity. Mike Gordon being more hands-on, again, is important. I've seen some managers linked with the job say they'll make a decision on their futures at the end of their ongoing seasons, and I understand their focus on that, right? That's how you have to approach it. But that's too late for Liverpool, and this kind of leads us into the point of this argument, or this article. You can't wait until close to June, then start negotiations. Negotiations can take time, and especially the way Liverpool do it, guys, they will take time. And as the process progresses, people can drop out or be found unsuitable, and then it's back to square one, except in July, not June. There isn't time. God, this is just flat out the truth, okay? To only discuss the job and a point in the summer means the new man has to assess his squad in preseason. Again, that's too late. A sense of uncertainty about Klopp's replacement is not an issue right now, but in time it will be. Some transitions will be required. As I will show via Mizgan's analysis, none of the main candidates, as well as not being larger-than-life charismatic German, will play the exact brand of football. So, and this is kind of saying no one is the exact same as Klopp's Liverpool. And I want to try to find where he transitions into... Okay, the only elite manager who guarantees... All right, let me go back a little bit. The Reds also surely want a manager who can settle on Merseyside, relate to Liverpool FC, and relate to the city. Yes. Klopp's humble German background and outlook on life made him perfect for the job. He had the right attitude. Who is this guy? This guy is amazing. And almost certainly no continuity via the existing coaching backroom staff, knowledge of the club, the city, the pressures becomes more important, especially because now we know the entire backroom staff is leaving. The only elite manager who guarantees that is Alonso, whose children were born in the city and who love the club like he does. Goosebumps. He said 6 years ago, this is Alonso, okay? Oh, and there's a video. I am going to save this guy. Oh my God. As he said 6 years ago, he'd love to do the job one day. And it's weird to hear Steven Gerrard mentioned as the one who will do the job first after Gerrard's career came off the rails to a reasonable degree after a promising start. That's what I was saying. Aston Villa. Okay. Here we go. Hopefully I don't get flagged for this, so I'll comment.
Do you see yourself standing up by the bench with
And this
being
is,
able to hear
you guys can
that
see
from
the
fans as manager?
bottom
Was
part
that
here.
something you dreamt of, you thought of?
And
Yeah,
something
yeah,
about
for
Liverpool.
sure. I have dreamt of that. For sure, I have to first prove
Prove
myself.
myself
I
and
need to
prepare.
prepare, but
Yeah.
you know, if
On
I
the side.
decide somewhere along the way to take my chances as a manager, you know, my link, my commitment, my passion with Liverpool is there, and
Yep.
you know, why not? We will see if we can cross paths.
Yep. So he's being very politically correct in that assessment right there. He said, I have to prove myself first. That right there, him saying I have to prove myself first, in my opinion, is the key to that. He knows he has to prove himself first. I think he's proven himself right now. Michael Ramsey, Jesus, what's up, man? Alonso doesn't love Liverpool because he would have stayed at Liverpool. Okay. Paul Tompkins, bro. Of all the articles I've read, David O'Connell, Paul Pierce, Jesus. Paul Pierce, James Pierce. I'm so American, it's disgusting. James Pierce, Paul Joyce, all these guys. Of all the articles I've read, Tompkins, that is the best written article. I feel like I'm only going to read his stuff from now on. Liz, thank you very much for the super chat. And happy birthday to Shayna. Shayna, it's your birthday. It's your birthday. That's Emperor's New Groove. It's okay. Shout out to Shayna. Love you guys. Appreciate the support. Luis Garcia. Is this the Luis Garcia? If we bring Alonso, we can teach Gerrard his philosophy. Why did I read that so weird? Philosophy, just like Cruyff taught his philosophy to Barca. So by reading that, you're saying that you ultimately want Gerrard. Is that what you're saying? I don't know. I mean, it would be great to have both. I mean, if it were up to me, I'd have Bobby Firmino manage the team. Right? If we're talking players that I love, I'd want Bobby Firmino on that sideline. How great would that be? This all comes down to timing. Okay? The club is going to be in a very vulnerable time without or transitioning from Jurgen Klopp. I'm going to be inconsolable until, oh my God, when the last game, I'm going to be inconsolable. I might cry. Just thinking about it now makes me want to cry a little bit. And as fans, it's not fear, right? I'm not scared for Jurgen Klopp to leave. It's more of what we're losing with Jurgen Klopp. I mean, Jurgen Klopp is one of those guys that I would jump in front of a bullet for. You know, thinking as a player, if I'm playing for that guy, I would put my life on the line week in and week out, no questions asked. And it's purely from a standpoint of I love him as a man. You don't find that very often. You don't find people in places of authority where all of their subordinates would jump in front of a bullet for them. Everybody loves Jurgen Klopp. The players, the fans, the backroom staff. Hopefully his wife loves him. We are losing so much with Jurgen Klopp. You're losing a man who was able to completely redevelop Liverpool Football Club. He had a vision and he executed it. New academy, new stadium. Right, obviously FSG helped with that, and Klopp's not alone. But Klopp spearheaded all of that. Okay? As fans, the anxiety associated with losing a man who has taken this club from, do I need to say it? From Ricky Lambert and Mamadou Sakho, Albert, like you're taking that, a club able to attract those players to the club we have now. You're scared of what's to come. Are we going to go back to that? Are we going to continue this upward trajectory? Are we going to even be able to sustain what we have right now? Which is why our next moves are so crucial. Who we get in as manager. It has to be the right person. We don't have the luxury to make a guess at the next manager and hope it works out. And if it doesn't, we'll find someone else. We don't have that luxury. We have got to continue, because if we don't, if we appoint someone and they don't work out, or they're not the same level of everything that Klopp is, if they're not, then it starts to leak into the team and the players. Players don't want to extend. Players don't want to stay. Fans get upset. Outside players and potential transfer targets don't want to come to the club. I don't want to go back there. Now, of course, it's the cycle, right? As fans, there's ups and downs. And we are on the highest of highs right now as Liverpool fans. We're so fortunate. But I do not want to go back to where I have to worry about, after a player does well for our club, when does Madrid and Barca come knocking, and how long do we have with this player until they leave? How many players are we going to lose to Man City and Chelsea instead of them coming to us? Which still happens, but under Klopp, what we've noticed is that players that go other places do not have as much success. That is so satisfying. So satisfying to see how Caicedo and Lavia, is he even alive anymore? Coutinho. Seeing how these players' careers turned out after leaving the club gives me a sense of Jurgen Klopp did everything right. This club is on the right path. We are no longer missing out on anything. If we're able to pull this off and appoint the right manager, hopefully that's Xabi Alonso. And if Xabi Alonso ends up being the guy, I think Liverpool skyrocket into the stratosphere. That is if Xabi Alonso can continue what he's doing at Leverkusen at Liverpool, which is a very, very difficult thing to do. Very difficult thing to do, because you're taking a team like Leverkusen, who has always been a team that sells on their players, that is a competitive team in their respective league, but not necessarily a top tier team. And he has made them into a powerhouse in that league with not necessarily the best players, right? But he has made them into that. That is exactly what Klopp did here. If Xabi Alonso can pull that off here, it's not an easy task to go from Leverkusen to Liverpool and do that. If he can pull that off here, that's it. I mean, that would just be incredible for Liverpool Football Club, because Man City are going to run into that problem very soon too. Who knows how long Pep Guardiola is going to stay at that club? When he does decide to leave, they're going to have a serious problem on their hands, just like Liverpool do. Where I think Liverpool differ from every other club in the world is the amount of work and infrastructure and just general operational success that Jurgen Klopp has been able to create. And I'm giving Jurgen Klopp most of the credit here, because he doesn't just manage the team. He has said, and we know, that behind the scenes, Jurgen Klopp has directed traffic for everything at the club. You will have those managers that just come in and only manage the team. That's really all they're worried about. Jurgen Klopp has his hand in every single department, making sure that everything is running smoothly, making sure that his vision is executed. And that's probably why he's being burnt out, because of just how much other stuff he's doing. I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, the other clubs, I don't think, have that same manager. I don't think Pep Guardiola is that involved behind the scenes. Now, I don't know. But Jurgen Klopp leaving, I think he's leaving at a time where he has ensured everything is stable behind the scenes. If Jurgen Klopp left 2 years ago, before he signed the extension, I honestly think everything kind of would have crumbled. He announced 6 months before he's actually leaving that he's leaving, to one, give the club time, as Paul Tompkins said. But he announced it because this has been a plan, I think. He has wanted to make sure that everything is stable before he leaves. He said it. I'll never forget this quote from him. He said, "When the time does come that I leave Liverpool, I will be sure to leave it in a better state than when I arrived. I will never leave a club in a worse state than when I found it." And I think that's the mistake he made at Dortmund. At least that's kind of what I think. He wasn't exactly having a great season at Dortmund when he left. He wasn't playing the right players. Fans were kind of like questioning his methods. He had the same road bump with us 2 seasons ago. We were kind of questioning who he was playing. Liverpool weren't exactly performing up to standards, but he turned it around. He got over that road bump, that speed bump. And everything is just, God, everything is so good right now. Good Lord. Let's go over to the chat real quick. Alexander, what's going on? Oyvind says, are we going to mention Thiago? How did I not talk about Thiago? Let's chat about Thiago for a minute. Thiago is Keita 2.0, man. He is. Poor guy. Thiago, it's funny, okay? It's funny. At a certain point, you're pissed off. If this were last year, I'd be pissed off because you don't have any depth. Now we have depth. We have quality players that Thiago's not going to start anyway. Honestly. I mean, who are you going to put Thiago in for? Curtis Jones? Maybe. In my opinion, Curtis Jones is undroppable right now. Okay? Endo's undroppable now that he's back. And then you got McAllister. Thiago's not playing, even if he's healthy. I'm sorry. Thiago, Last year, if he was like this, everyone's pissed off. Like, oh my God, sell Thiago. Dude, Thiago's just, he's not it anymore. Dude comes back after that long out, plays 8 minutes, whatever it was, and he's injured again. Dude, come on, bro. Come on. How? Did you get injured on that giveaway? Were they almost scored? Like, how do you get injured playing 8 minutes, dude? I could go play 8 minutes in the Premier League. I think that's my cap, though. I think after 8 minutes, I'd be absolutely exhausted. Like, dragon. How do you get injured? You had a year. You had a year to recover. Thiago, it was hip surgery, and he was recovering from that, and then he had a setback. He could have torn every ligament in his body, and he would have had 3 extra months to recover and be healthy. And he comes back and plays 8 minutes, and he gets injured again. What the hell is wrong with Thiago? Oh, dude, Rob, what's up, man? It's just the human body can only take so much. Certain play styles, and I'm not saying this is what it's down to. I just think he's injury prone. Certain play styles, certain body types, certain muscle fiber types, all of these things play a role in how injury prone a player is, or how often they get injured, or their duration as a high level athlete. Okay. You can look at the stats and you can look at players that are never injured. Okay. You look at a Mo Salah. We were talking about this yesterday on our live stream. You look at a Mo Salah. Mo Salah is rarely injured. And it's just ironic because right now he is. You look at Van Dijk, aside from the ACL, he is pretty much always available. Wijnaldum was another good example. Endo, unbelievable. Who are some other players that were always available? And now I'm blanking. Elliott, aside from the leg break. There are just certain players that are always available, and it's always going to be, for me, the best ability is availability. Robbo, yeah. Milner, another good one. Towards the end of his time, he was getting knocks here and there. Salah does not smoke or drink alcohol, makes him more durable in terms of longevity. That 100% plays a role for sure. And that's another thing you got to look out. Diet, supplements, lifestyle, all these different things, right? In my opinion, if I were to ever get to that level, that high level of being an athlete, to where you're getting paid millions of dollars to play your sport, I would just fully commit. Meaning, I would make sure everything was pinpoint accuracy, diet, supplement, sleep, exercise, no smoking or drinking, nothing. Literally nothing. I wouldn't play any other I'd golf. I would definitely still golf. But I would fully commit myself to it because I'd want to be the best I could be. And some athletes you've seen do this, right? Look at Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps was a really good example of fully committing yourself to a sport, right? Tom Brady, another good example. These are all American examples. I'm sure there's other examples out there. Salah is probably a really good example. You just look at how players commit themselves, and you can draw a parallel between longevity, health, all of that. Mane had some injuries. He did, but I know I get it. I definitely get that. Derek, yeah, great parallels here. CR7, Mane. I would argue Mane, But Salah and Milner for sure. Milner is a great example of just fully committing yourself. And I think Ronaldo might be the best example. I think Ronaldo might be, he is just a machine, dude. An absolute machine. Yeah. Yep. So, going back to Xabi Alonso and touching on that, just to kind of conclude everything, I'm feeling optimistic. Okay, there are two reasons why we wouldn't choose Xabi Alonso. One, performances for Leverkusen fall off a cliff at the end of the season, towards the end of the season. And the second one is he just flat out refuses to come to Liverpool, whether he goes to Madrid, which I can't see it because Ancelotti's just having too much success there. They wouldn't change that up. So those are the two reasons. What do you guys think? I'd like to close this off with reading some comments from you guys. What do you think about Xabi Alonso? The good, the bad opinions, throw them in the chat, and that's what we'll close out with. And again, thanks to everyone tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, like the stream, share it with a friend. Oswald says, I remember Liverpool's Jim Beglin breaking his leg in multiple places. One of the worst breaks I've ever seen. Derek says, Leverkusen winning Bundesliga. Whoops. And we get to play Leverkusen Europa League final. How about that? Wouldn't that be insane? Xabi Alonso is loyal to Liverpool, not like the little snake Coutinho. Luis Garcia says, Alonso says he wants to manage Liverpool, right? Dustin wants Alonso. What's going on here? Yeah. Yep. Alonso, please and thank you. It seems like everyone's on board with Alonso. And me too. Me too. Guys, that ends our show this morning. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Give Steven a shout-out. Show Steven some love. Like the stream. And we'll be back later this week with some videos and next weekend for the match, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, Reds, take care.